Hello, good morning friends. Welcome back to your favorite channel Code One Digest. Today in this tutorial, we are going to learn Nestjs microservices with MongoDB as a backend. Yes friend, in this tutorial, I'll teach you step by step how to create microservices in Nestjs framework having a backend as a MongoDB. How to create connection to MongoDB and how to get data and insert data into a MongoDB. Okay friends, so stay tuned and watch this tutorial till end. It is going to be very exciting and informative tutorial. If you want to learn Nestjs framework, if you want to learn JavaScript, if you want to learn Node, if you want to learn MongoDB, then this is a tutorial for you. You are going to learn so many things in this tutorial today. Right friends? So stay tuned and watch this tutorial till end. Friends, in the previous tutorial, I covered Nestjs microservices with PostgreSDB using type ORM. So if you want to learn how to create microservices in Nestjs framework using Postgres as a backend database, so this is a tutorial for you. Go and watch that tutorial. The link is given on your screen and also given in the description section of this tutorial, of this video. Okay friends, I have also created Nestjs framework playlist where you will see many other tutorials available on Nestjs framework components. You will see video on controller providers, modules, and there are some sample projects like MVC project in Nestjs, create microservices using PostgreSDB as a backend, and so on. So there are various tutorials available in this playlist. Go and watch this playlist. It is going to be very useful to you. Okay friends, so here is the agenda of this tutorial today. Nestjs MongoDB project introduction. I'll explain you the project through an architecture diagram, how to initialize, create and set up Nestjs project, and then we'll install all the required dependencies in the project. I'll show you step by step the coding of controller class, service class, repository classes, our entity classes, DTO classes and module class in Nestjs framework. At the end, I'll be running the application and testing the APIs. Right friends? Here are the prerequisites for this tutorial. You need Node.js version 16 and above. I am using version 18. Then you need Nestjs 10.2.1 and above, npm version 9.5.0 and above, VSCode editor, Postman API testing tool, Mongo database, I am using 5.0, and MongoDB Compass to see data into MongoDB. If you have all these softwares, we are good to go. Here is the architecture diagram what we are trying to achieve today. So this is our Nestjs framework at the center running into our Node server, and we have MongoDB running as a backend and our Nestjs microservices connecting to the MongoDB and inserting and retrieving the data from Mongo database. Right friends, we will be testing the API using Postman API tool. Okay friends, so now without wasting any more time, let's create the Nestjs MongoDB project. Go to a directory where you want to create a project, open a command prompt at that location. Okay friends, so very first thing that we have to do is to install the Nest CLI. So here is the command to install Nest CLI so that it understands Nest command. We are going to use Nest command after this to create project, to create our controller, to create our services and so on. So very first thing that you have to do is to install the Nest CLI. If you already have Nest CLI, then you can skip this step. When Nest CLI is installed, then we are ready to create our project. So here is the command to create a Nestjs project. The command is nest new Nestjs microservices MongoDB. So this is the name of the project that I am giving. You can give any name as per your requirement. So nest new name of the project and say enter. So it will create all the libraries, all the required files for me. So it's asking me what is the package manager that I want to use. So I would be using npm. Yes, it will take a couple of minutes to download and get ready your project. Okay friends, Nestjs project is created, project directory is created. Go inside that project directory. Yes, so you would see files are created for you, package.json file with all the required dependencies, and it has a source folder where we have a boilerplate code available for us like default controller, default service and default module classes are, and main.ts file is available here. So we'll load this into VS Code and we'll see that. Okay friends, so that project I have loaded in my VS Code editor now. So this is my package.json file having this default dependencies. As you create Nestjs project, so this Nestjs common, Nestjs core, Nestjs platform express and reflect metadata rxjs. These 5 dependencies will come by default to you always. It has some boilerplate code available inside the source folder, that is our main.ts file where the application is start. Here we are bootstrapping our application, that means here we are starting our application using Nest factory. So this is creating an instance of an app, and then basic controller, service and module classes. Right friends, so now what I'll do is, as we are creating a MongoDB project, so we have to install Mongoose as a module, right? We need Mongoose. It's an object relation mapping tool. It's kind of a ORM which is required to interact with our database. We will need ORM as a bridge between our application and database. Okay friends, so I'll install the Mongoose. Mongoose is a well-known object relation mapping tool that interacts with MongoDB and your application. Okay friends, so now I'll install Mongoose module. So here is the command to install Mongoose module is npm install save Nestjs Mongoose, right? So it will install and get added into our dependency list. All the required files will get downloaded into our load module folder. Let me install this. Once we install this, then only we'll have those MongoDB related drivers and classes available, Mongoose module, MongoDB module available for us to import in our application module. I'll show you in a while. Okay friends, so this is added. Now we can validate in our package.json. Mongoose is added here. We'll use this Mongoose to connect to our database and to create object relation mapping. Okay friends, so now very first thing that we have to do is to create a connection to our MongoDB through our Mongoose ORM. How to do it? We will be writing a connection string in our module class. So this is our app module class, right? And here in this import, we'll be importing a MongoDB module to create a connection to our Mongo database. Here is the code. I'm importing Mongoose module, and for root, and this is my database URL. My MongoDB is running in localhost, so I'm giving 127.0.0.1, and this is a port of my MongoDB. Database name is studentdb. Right friends, do a import Mongoose module, right? So this Mongoose module is coming from our Mongoose dependency that we have installed. Okay, so now we will create our schema file for our object relation mapping. So inside the source folder, create a folder schema and then create a file student.schema.ts, right? So this is the file. It is our domain object. So in this tutorial, I am going to create a student database where we'll be storing the student details. So this is going to be our student schema file. So this is how our student schema look like. Student is an object having name as a string, roll number as a number, class as a number, gender as a string, and marks as a number. And here we are using a schema decorator. So this is coming from our Mongoose dependency, right? So schema and property, these two decorators are part of our Mongoose module. And then finally we are exporting our student schema. This hydrated document is just a way to create MongoDB document from our raw JavaScript object. Friends, before we proceed in this video, I request you to subscribe this channel to grow Code1 Digest family. Friends, I am creating a lot of quality videos on programming, coding concepts, design pattern and design principles, cloud and container technologies, but I'm not getting subscribers. I request you to like, share and subscribe this channel so that I can grow our Code One Digest family. Thank you. It's time for us to create controller and service class. I'll be creating the student controller and student service using a CLI command, Nest CLI command. So here is the command nest generate service student. So it will create me student service.ts file. Yes, so it is created, and now I'll generate a controller class, that is student controller. So command is nest generate controller student. Press enter. So it will generate student.controller.ts file. Right, it is done. So let us see now in VS Code. So you see this student directory is created automatically. Inside student directory you have a controller and you have a service classes. And if we see our app module, so inside this app module, controller array, student controller is automatically got added, and in provider array, student services automatically got added because we created it through CLI. So CLI is intelligent enough to do all this homework for you, right friends? So now what we'll do is we'll write a code inside our service class to interact with our database, to insert data and to retrieve data from MongoDB. Okay friends, so before we write code into our student service, we would require a DTO class. So let's write a DTO class first. So inside a source, you create a folder DTO, and inside DTO, you will be writing a class. Create student DTO.ts file. So before we write code into our DTO, we have to install our class validator. So go to command prompt and install class validator dependency, npm install class validator, save. It will install a class validator because we will use this class validator in our DTO. It will validate the input parameter as per the properties defined, right, for our DTO. Okay, this is done. Let's go back to the code. Now we are good to write our DTO class. Okay friends, so here is the code for our DTO. Okay, so this is my create student DTO class, and here I have property name as a string, then roll number as a number, then class as a number, gender as a string, and marks as a number. You would see that we are writing these decorators is a string, max length, so all these things are coming from our class validator. This makes it easier to define and to validate the provided input. So these are very useful thing. This DTO is created, we are good to go and create methods in our service class. Okay friends, so here is the service layer class, business class. So very first thing that we have is a constructor. In constructor, using inject model decorator, I am creating a model of our student. So the student is our model here, domain object. Now the very first method that I am writing is here is create student. This is to insert student into our MongoDB, right? So create student, taking create student DTO as the input, and in return it is returning a object of student. So this is my student model, and model is a class coming from Mongoose, and it is of type student. Student is of type schema. Student model will give me instance of student, and that will save using save function, save method in our MongoDB. Right friend, this is clear. Now next method here is to get all the students available in database. So here we are returning array of students. Okay, we are calling find method on student model, and we are getting the student data, and this student data nothing but is a array of student. So these are two very simple methods that we have written in service class. Now it's time for us to write a controller so that we can call these service methods for a given API. Before we jump to a controller, one more thing that we have to add now in a module is Mongoose module for feature student. Okay, so name student, and this is a schema. So let's import this. This is done. and now our module is ready. Let's go to our controller class. So now in this controller class we'll be writing few routes so that we can create student and we can retrieve all the students. Okay friends, so here is my controller code. The very first line that we are doing here in the controller is we are injecting our service, student service class here through a constructor injection. Okay, as our service class is injectable, we can use that in our controller. Once this is done, then we have a post mapping, create student method. Here we have two parameters, one is response object and second is the incoming request input object of type body. So that body is coming into our create student DTO. It is of type create student DTO. This is the object, and then on next line I am calling this dot student service dot create student by passing create student DTO, right? So this DTO object I am passing here inside this create student function of my service class, and then it is giving me a object of student as a response. Finally, I am creating a response status in my response object. So response.setStatus created with the message student has been created successfully and that object, student object. If there is any error, then I am handling through our try and catch. Inside error, I am again preparing a response with bad request status, message, error, creating the student. This is very simple, post method, no fancy thing. Now next method is our get method to fetch all the student from repository. It has one response parameter. We'll use that to send response back to our customer. Now very first line what we are doing is we are calling our student service dot get all students. It is coming as a student data. This is an array of student. Now I am preparing a response, that is response.status okay, that is 200.json. Message is all student data found successfully, and this is the object. This is the array of student. If there is any error, so I am preparing a response message with status error and that error message. Right friends, very simple. Two endpoints, one is post and one is get. This is my controller class. We are ready with controller, we are ready with service class, we are ready with our schema, we are ready with our DTO. I think we are ready to run our application. So now what we'll do is I'll run this application and then we'll test our APIs. Okay, so let me go to the console, npm run start. So this is to start my application. Let's see if the application is starting successfully. So yes, my application is up and running and it is running on port 3000. So now let me open my postman and we'll try to hit this endpoint. So this is my postman API tool. I have created a collection Nestjs Mongodb project, and this is the host endpoint that I have configured. HTTP localhost 3000 student is the endpoint. It is coming from my controller. If you see, the endpoint is student and method is post. So here method is post, and this is the JSON that I am inserting. So name, let's say Pawan, and then roll number is 99, class is 8 standard, male, and marks is, let's say, 90% marks. Let me hit and see if it is getting inserted into our database. Yes, we got 201 created response, and this is the JSON that is created, and this is a message. A student has been created successfully, and this is the object. Name Pawan, roll number 99, class 8, gender male, marks 90, and this is the ID, primary key of that document. We'll do one more insert so that we can fetch few records in our get student command. Let me insert here Varun, roll number right? Let me create this. Yes, this is also created. Now let us try to retrieve all the students using a get call. So this is my get call endpoint. Here I am calling localhost 3000 student, but method is get. Let me hit this. Yes, so it's a 200 OK response, and we are getting few students like Jack, Ravi, Pavan we have inserted just now with 99 roll number and so on, and then Varun 102 and so on, right? So these are the students that we have already in our database. If you want, we can also validate the same in our MongoDB backend using a Mongo Compass, right? This is student DB and this is students. So here I have those records. So that means our documents are getting saved successfully, and we are also able to retrieve our document. This is just a concept, friends, and the purpose of this tutorial is to tell you how easy and simple it is to write enterprise level of application, microservice application with the MongoDB as a backend. You need not to worry about the code. The code and all the commands are available in my GitHub repository, that is Code1 Digest, and this is a project Nestjs complete tutorial. You can clone this repository, download all the code. The project that I have explained you today is also available here, like Nestjs Mongodb project, right? So all the code, all the commands are available here for you. Just download this repository and start using it. So if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you are new to the channel, so do subscribe to my channel to grow Code1 Digest family. Friends, if you like this video, so give it a thumbs up and subscribe to this channel for the more interesting videos. Click on the bell icon for the latest video notifications, and do not forget to share this video with all your friends and colleagues. This is very useful information for students, beginners and software engineers. I am putting a lot of efforts in creating these contents, so please help me growing the Code1 Digest family. Please subscribe to Code1 Digest channel for the latest programming and technology related videos. Thank you.